Views and opinions on this podcast are those of the hosts and producers and are not those of Apple or any authorized service provider. Information provided is purely for entertainment purposes only. For more information about products and services discussed in this program, we invite you to visit a corporate Apple store or an approved, certified Apple service and sales center.
Today we celebrate the first.
Hello, I'm a man.
You're stealing from
guy's great.
Don't Sculley Around.
The Apple podcast that brings you information from both sides of the counter.
See if there's anything you want in the other tiers, and if there's not, stick with what you got. You don't have to jump up to it. They may want you to, but you can always say no.
From both the customer and the sales and service provider's point of view.
You want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or do you want to come with me and change the world?
Because we don't scully around.
What can I say? I hired the wrong guy.
Welcome back to Don't Scully Around, your Apple podcast hosted by two Apple certified technicians, myself, Chris Williams, and my wife, Caitlin. We're here with you on this edition to talk about the small but powerful, no, not the Mac Mini, the lid angle sensor. This little tiny device driven by a magnet that tells your Mac whether or not you have the lid open.
Who knew it was so powerful? More powerful than I think it should be.
But it can do so many things, and it can cause so many...
It can wreak havoc.
It can cause very strange things, reactions to happen to your computer, and we're going to talk about it on this edition of Don't Scully Around. Don't forget, we're on Podomatic, we're on SoundCloud, we are on Apple Podcasts, and we are also on Spotify. And you can listen to the audio version of our show on YouTube as well. We're working on video. We'll get that going. The lid angle sensor. Who knew this finicky little...
Who even knew what it was?
Yeah, who knew this little finicky device that has a screw that's very hard to put in because it's not magnetized, except it will stick to the magnet attached to the lid angle sensor. But it does so many things, and there are so many problematic symptoms that your computer could experience if you have a failing lid angle sensor.
Yeah, this is kind of when I got into exploring YouTube a bit more, but because Apple's directions when it comes to these troubleshooting, and they give you troubleshooting guides, Apple gives you a lot when it comes to repairs. For most of the issues that you're seeing that are caused by the lid angle sensor, you'd be replacing the motherboard. Then you'd be replacing, like, basically the entire machine until you got to that little itty-bitty cable. And then I started watching some YouTubers who were taking apart and trying to Franken-Mac Macs by swapping displays, and I saw all the symptoms that could happen. So just to, seeing as not everybody is in the repair world, there's always been a lid angle sensor, but it was part of a screen. So anytime you replace the screen, they would replace the lid angle sensor. It just was built in. It's literally just a sensor that figures out that your screen is open or closed. Since they have really made this a separate part, and I'm still not quite sure why, it has wreaked some havoc on some computers. Because if it thinks the lid is shut, it turns off the internal keyboard, so that's the main keyboard on your laptop. This also only applies to laptops. This isn't an option on any desktops. It also shuts off your trackpad, so the mouse that's on here. Again, it's the internal built-in one on the actual keyboard. You can use an external one. It also can shut off your screen. So it can seem like your computer's not turning on at all. At all. It's just black. It can also make weirdness on the screen. It can make it look a little weird, but that's minor by comparison. It can also leave your screen on when it shouldn't. It can turn your screen off when it shouldn't. It could be presenting all the symptoms of nothing's on the screen, the keyboard seems like it's dead, the trackpad seems like it's dead, but then you decide, for testing purposes, I'm going to plug it into another screen, and it works. It seems like freaking magic, but this little tiny, and I mean tiny, I believe it's less than an inch long, little tiny ribbon cable with the most annoying microscopic screw ever, apparently holds your entire computer hostage if it goes nuts.
And I believe it's even smaller on the M3 MacBook Air.
Oh yeah, God, that one's like as big as the tip of my index finger,
Yeah.
I think. And including the connector. We have seen all sorts of weird things, and this actually came in very handy because I swear every time I learn something new, we randomly have a computer having that issue in the shop. I have seen it do all sorts of different things. There's actually more that it also can shut off your charger too. I've seen it where it doesn't charge while it's doing that. That one I don't get because you'd think it would work. It's really crazy that this little tiny cable can, like I said, basically hold your computer captive. It's been an interesting learning experience about these as we've seen them damaged in all sorts of ways. I've actually seen a computer that only got liquid damage on the lid angle sensor, which I still want to know how the heck that person did that because, like, it's up in the upper corner on the newer computers by your MagSafe charger of the MacBook Pros. I think it's on it's on the same side with the other ones. How did you do that? What did you do? Just go, I'm going to put a droplet right here, but only there. Just because I want to screw that up. I also had somebody who tried to look at their liquid damaged computer and do their own repairs themselves and took off the back cover and clearly did it with a knife and cut right through the lid angle sensor. That was actually harder to get out than I expected it to be because that was even more microscopic. So
and every so often we can see like you said, a liquid damaged computer where the lid angle sensor somehow is wet and corroded, but its connection to the logic board has not been affected. Yeah,
so I actually see that if there's liquid damage on top of the actual connection to the logic board, that tends to be okay. If there's any type of liquid damage to the cable, which is like covered in plastic or whatever, Apple, just vegan plastic or something, that seems to be more damaging than actually the connector part itself. But then again, I guess it kind of makes sense because the connector it's basically a big wide piece covering it. But the other part of it for when you're a technician, especially when you're an early technician, God, you hate those little suckers because getting those screws in. I mean, the last one I did, I'm still not good at them, but I literally bite the screwdriver, the back end of the screwdriver, the part that goes into your hand, so that I can hold it still while I have a magnet on the actual screwdriver tip to hold this very tiny, and I mean it's iPhone-sized screw. So if you've ever looked at the bottom of your iPhone and you look at the little tiny screws, it's that size.
It's a little bigger, actually.
Okay. Well, it feels that small. We use the iPhone screwdrivers. And then you have to turn that and put that in there. I mean, I look like I'm insane, but I do have a little bit of a shake, which is part of why I have to bite screwdrivers and look like a crazy person. But it's crazy that I even have to go to that extreme. I mean, I know you have a way of doing it with a whole bunch of tape.
You can put like a little bit of gaff tape over the magnet, and then at least it'll sort of counteract the magnet so the screw won't pop off. But generally, if you can just put the screw inside the lid angle sensor itself, the little bracket that the screw goes into, and then hopefully hold that with one hand and then hold the screwdriver with your other hand and just position that and screw it into the display, you usually don't have any problems. Otherwise, you're cursing Apple up and down for at least a half an hour, making numerous attempts to do this. I prefer to have the display module off the computer.
Mm-hmm, me too.
But I know you used to try to do it inside the computer if you put the display on. I
stopped doing that because all it did is goes, look, I found every magnet. I will not go in here. Magnets don't work. What are you talking about? It's like the most insane little anti-magnet magnetized screw that's not magnetized.
But it is, but it isn't.
But it isn't. But it is. But it's definitely not is. And, well, you have the lucky ability of not having a shaky hand.
Yeah.
I have a shaky primary hand. So you find between that and being a short person, wait until you see me working on a 27-inch iMac. I have to use a freaking step stool just so I can get in and disconnect the cable because I'm a short person.
Well, thankfully, the Intel Macs are going away, so you won't have to work on many 27-inch iMacs much longer. Except to, maybe just pull the hard drives out. But
the studio display.
Studio display.
I am still too short for that. Don't be a short person and be a tech. It's hard.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about preparing your computer for repairs. And I guess one more thought about the lid angle sensor. For whatever reason, we don't know why Apple has not admitted that this is the case. We suspect there might be some bricking going on, but for whatever reason, if your computer has to have any repair work done on it, you have to be on the most current version
currently
of macOS.
15.6 or higher. So that is the latest version of Sequoia. We literally are told we cannot finish the repair if we have to replace a lid angle sensor for whatever reason, whether it's just your lid angle sensor that failed or your display. Whenever you get a display replaced, you get a free lid angle sensor now because it has to be, they're paired to each other.
Yes. So part of the system configuring process to configure your monitor.
Yeah.
We have to do that.
Yeah, because all of the parts in your machine these days are actually, I guess, configured to talk to each other. They all kind of get the same, it's called firmware. So they're all firmware locked to you through your Apple ID. And someday we'll go into the joys of Find My.
Yes.
And that will explain more of that.
Of course it will. So when we come back, we're going to talk about what you need to do to prepare your computer if you've had a little accident. And accidents do happen. But
even if they happen by magic.
So we'll be right back with more Don't Sculley Around. Stay tuned. Having trouble finding local tech support that won't break the bank? Shaker Electronics is your in-home tech support specialist. From fixing email issues to transferring files to a new computer, iPhone help, virus scans, and computer updates, they handle it all right in the comfort of your home or office. Call or email them today and let's get started. They work within a 50-mile radius of Enfield, New Hampshire. Call them at 603-397-9114 or email shakerelectronicsnh@gmail.com. And if you've ever been dreaming of starting your own podcast but don't know where to begin, Shaker Electronics has you covered. With decades of radio and television experience, they'll provide the equipment and can even edit your episodes so that you'll sound like a pro. ShakerElectronicsNH@gmail.com. Follow Shaker Electronics on Facebook. Let Shaker Electronics sweep away your computer worries. And we thank Shaker Electronics for sponsoring Don't Sculley Around. And I have a kitten.
Which one?
It's a Brittany.
It's a Brittany.
She wants to come up. She's squeaking.
It's less of a kitten.
She's coming up. Okay.
So anyway, we do appreciate Shaker Electronics support quite a lot. It's also nice to partner with them as well, talking about some of the repair work that happens in life. And speaking of repair work, so what happens should you need a repair on your computer? How do you prepare? If we're talking about computers, I'll focus on computers first. And actually, really any device. If you can, back that sucker up. Generally, most repairs don't affect your data, but sometimes we don't know what will happen to it as much as we try. And we try everything we possibly can because, in all honesty, we don't want you to be upset at us because you lost your stuff. We strongly recommend backing up. I mean, even before repairs and before you have issues or anything like that, just in case things arise. That's one of the biggest things to do. It also allows the technician some freedom when they're trying to troubleshoot your computer. If you already have a backup and we know that you have a backup, we feel safe to move forward with some of our more extreme things without checking. I don't want to make it sound like, well, they got a backup, let's wipe it today. We do try to avoid that, but at least it doesn't make us pause when we finally hit that wall that we need to erase it or do something that'll affect your data. It pauses the repair and can actually delay the repair if we're either doing a backup for you or if we have to contact you and you're not immediately available the second that we need to contact you. So your repair pauses. So it helps you get your computer back faster by having that backup because it gives us the freedom to just fix it, whatever means necessary type of thing. That's really one of the big things. The other thing is also turning off the lovely Find My Mac or Find My pick a device. It has become we'll go with a thorn in the tech sides. Find My is incredibly powerful while being very simple at the same time. I am a big fan of Find My, but I hate it on the repair side. Find My is a setting that's usually turned on by default when you first set up the Mac. You really have to know to turn it off. What it does is it ties your computer to your Apple ID or your phone or your thing, whatever Apple thing it is. And what that does is it locks every piece of hardware in that machine to your Apple ID. So should we try and process a repair, should we be trying to do it as like a third-party repair, it can cause weird issues. For example, earlier we were talking about the lid angle sensor where that can be funky if it's not happy. And that includes if it's not what's called configured or paired correctly. And pretty much every part in your computer, I think, except for your bottom plate, which is literally just a piece of metal, gets paired to your Apple ID. And if Find My is still on, we cannot open a repair with Apple to order parts, to install parts, to complete a repair. If it magically decides to turn itself on in the middle of a repair, we have to call you and have you turn it off again because that happens. It's great. You feel insane too. And we're not just doing it to be a giant pain in the butt when you get into the store. We don't like having to bug you about it either. If your computer's not turning on, what do? You can turn Find My off, and you will need to turn Find My off in other ways. And you can do that. It doesn't have to be on the main unit. That's the two big things. The other stuff is that the repair place that you're bringing it to will either need to have access to your user account, especially if you're having some sort of a software problem. And so we would prefer to have your password so that we can log in and see what's going on in your machine. If you really don't want to share your password, you can wipe your computer or create a separate user. But again, if it's a software issue happening in your account and we can't access your account, we can't troubleshoot that. Problems can happen in specific accounts. And you can have multiple accounts on your computer. Bear in mind that if we're asking for that, it's more because, again, a lot of the questions that we ask are not to be a pain or super invasive. We want to fix your problem the first time as efficiently as we can.
And one of the interesting things we've had happen, yes, when you're going to get your car repaired, if you don't give the mechanic your keys, he's not going to be able to work on your car. Same thing with not having your password. Now, we have had customers who have, for whatever reason, they don't want to trust us. So they said, I'm going to change my password before letting you work on my computer. That's all well and good. However, changing the password because of Apple's lovely security means all your saved passwords in your keychain on your Mac are going to get erased. And we had a customer a while ago who lost passwords to hundreds upon hundreds of websites because they were saved to his keychain. And he had no idea what any of the passwords were because he just allowed Safari to create strong passwords.
Which are strong.
But if you don't write them down, you have no idea what they are. And if you're
no
one of those,
human would be able to guess it.
And if you're a person who just says, I just save it to the browser, that's great. Until you change your password on your Mac, then a lot of that stuff gets wiped out.
So a keychain, for those who don't know, so when you log in to your computer, or if it automatically logs in for you, the key is your password that you use to get onto the computer. Even if you have a blank password, it's still the key. And it causes a chain reaction basically through the computer to give it permission to function. It's saying that you're logging in. Now, with what Chris is saying, it's definitely, I have seen that happen. I remember that gentleman. It does reset that. It's not like it doesn't. I have seen us get when these types of situations happen, I have seen that if the customer had the iCloud keychain turned on, when they sign back into their Apple ID, it'll repopulate those passwords back in. There's no guarantee it's got all of them. It should, but I can't guarantee it until either you go through it yourself and check each individual one and make sure you have the right thing, or you have it backed up. The other thing, too, when it comes to passwords is passwords also can get saved to each individual browser. So if you are someone who uses Safari and Google Chrome and Firefox, or all three, or all the other options that are out there, Firefox and Google Chrome will save your passwords within their own browsers. Google Chrome, if you sign in with your Gmail account, which usually it kind of forces you to do anyway, that actually saves your passwords to your Google account. So if you sign back into Google Chrome, those passwords will come back. Firefox has a Firefox sync, but it doesn't really force you to sign that in. That one we don't tend to have the best luck recovering from, just because not a lot of people know about Firefox sync. It does work, but you have to create a separate account. It's kind of annoying. But anyway, back to preparing your computer for repair. The other thing, too, when it comes to a computer, you're going to need to drop the computer off. It's not something that is, okay, it's been 5 minutes, it's fixed. A majority of the time it needs to be checked in. The tech needs to take his time to figure out what the heck is going on. He's not just going, hey, I just want the computer to sit here for the next 4 days. We want it out of there just as badly as you do. Actually, sometimes it's fun to see how quickly you can turn something around. If you need it urgently, call ahead and at least discuss what's going on, and we can try and prep you as much as possible. There are some cases that change as the repair evolves, depending on what is needed. Most hardware repairs, Once the technician starts looking at them, they put the order in for the part, and the part is usually overnighted or comes in about 2 to 3 days. If it has a battery installed, batteries cannot be overnighted. Bear that in mind. That means 3 to 5 business days, and that is because of exploding Samsung batteries. Anyway, they're no longer allowed to be airshipped. There are delays that we can't control, and most repair shops, including Apple, will want to check your device in and keep it until the repair is completed. It's not because they're being mean and they want to take your computer away from you. It's because if we send it back with you, there is more likely of a chance that it continues to get damaged or hurt or other things, and that ends up falling on us, not necessarily on you, because we have no way to prove that that didn't happen after or before. So it's something to cover ourselves, but it's also by us hanging onto your computer, it actually means you get your computer back faster, because once we get the part in, then we're playing phone tag. Are you there? 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 Oh, you're finally there. Can you bring it in? Can you bring it in? Can you bring it in?
Oh, wait, you're on a cruise ship?
Oh, okay. Well, now I have to return the part, cancel the repair. We can't do anything for another 30 days. So it's actually, it sounds like we're being mean and evil because we want to take your computer away from you. But it is actually the most efficient way to do the repair, as much as it's a giant pain. So if you do need to have a repair, do bear that in mind. Now, when it comes to our iPhone side of things, honestly, every repair shop runs things differently. They have different options. Apple has had offered a thing where we could actually stock parts without having to buy them. And by that, we would have to buy them at full price from Apple, each individual part. Doesn't seem too bad until you start looking at the screens. The screens are at least $200 to $300 a piece. Almost every model of iPhone has 4 of them. At one point, there were colors, and you have to bear in mind that we need to pre-buy all of those and just hope we guessed the right one. I honestly was working on bringing these in for our store, and when I did my dream list, as I called it, I did the entire total, and it was going to cost us $10,000 to bring it all in. So if you're sitting there going, oh, why can't they just bring it in? It's not that much. It is. Batteries aren't as bad. Those are easier to stock, but they also have a time frame. With the phones, we're trying to stock more things. I know in our particular store, other stores may not be able to do that. So what they need to do is check your phone in, and that does mean you're without the phone during that time period. Some of them may have loaner phones, some may not. Some have more parts in stock than others. It really depends on the store. And Apple stores, I have now learned from one of our new employees who is a former Apple person, they will not tell you what they have in stock, because they could tell you in that moment that they have that item in stock, but then another person walks to the door and takes that part. They don't have a reservation system. The independent authorized service providers can do reservations depending on how they want to process it. We're still kind of working out our system, but that is something to consider when it comes to iPhone repair. Definitely check with the store if they have the part or how their process works so you can plan accordingly.
And so to recap,
all right, there was a lot
how to prepare your Apple device for repair. Number 1, back it up. And we always encourage you to run backups of even your phones. I mean, your phone does back up to iCloud, but you can always plug your iPhone.
And you can always check it in the settings under iCloud under backup, and you can see when the last backup was if you ever want to check.
But you can always plug your phone into your computer, even your PC. There is an iTunes app you can sort of do and back up your phone on your PC, as
and my eye just
Caitlin is
twitched out of
switching.
my eye.
But so you can do a full physical backup of your phone to your computer, just as an extra special backup. Same with your iPad. But ideally, you want to back up your device, and then after you backed up to your device, make sure you can turn off Find My. If you can't do that yourself, you can. The store that you check it into will be more than happy to help you. And the idea is you're removing the device from your account.
Not erasing.
Not
Do
erasing.
not press the erase. Do not pass go.
We've seen that before.
God, that's a good day.
We've had a computer before that we restored it and it was all ready to go, and then we didn't know the young fellow had hit the erase button, and then once everything synchronized, everything went away. So we have no control over that. But iCloud is a very interesting process, and trying to figure out that, trying to explain to people, you erase something in one location, it erases it everywhere, and there's kind of most of the time no way to pull it back. We wish there was.
They're trying to put more stuff in, but it's I think it's sometimes it's hit or miss, I think is a better way of putting it.
So prepare your device for repair. If you have any questions when you're checking in a device, you can always talk to AppleCare Support. You can definitely talk to the store that you're going to be working with.
Especially when it comes to authorized service providers, companies that are not owned directly by Apple. It is always good to touch base with the store because AppleCare Support does not necessarily know how each store functions. They know how an Apple store functions, but they don't know how each individual store functions, and they can make promises that are not realistic, I think is a very polite way of putting it.
So I want to thank you for listening to this edition of Don't Sculley Around, the story of the power of the lid angle sensor.
It is such an incredibly powerful, annoying little cable. I hate it.
As always, we encourage you to take your Apple devices to an authorized service provider or an Apple store. And when we talk again, we will be talking about the big Apple announcement that happened on Tuesday. I'm still disappointed that it wasn't live.
Yeah, so the live part of it was actually they just had people in the room watching the video.
So
That's
Tim Cook walked on
live.
stage and said, "Good morning, everyone. Here's a video."
I hope you're comfy.
We'll see you again on Don't Sculley Around. Don't forget, we're on YouTube podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're going to put some shows back up on SoundCloud because that seems to be doing really well for us.
Podomatic.
And Spotify and
Which you said twice, now 3 times.
all that good kind of stuff. So we'll see you next time here on
Don't Scully Around.